Good morning. Thank you for being here this morning. We're always pleased to get the chance to talk about students and learning and teaching and schools and how we can continue to support and develop our students' well-being and their learning and their access and opportunity across our community, a state, and nation. So first of all, I'd like to just thank our guests for being here. I especially want to really call out the Capitals for supporting student learning and working with schools and all of the work they do. And then, as Boyende said at the end, we'll have time for questions and answers. The first thing I want to reference is that we continue to work with our state's attorney and our law enforcement system here in Montgomery County around the Damascus High School's circumstance, and obviously that's been an area of interest for many people in the community, as it should be, and it's certainly our hearts and thoughts are with all of the students at Damascus and the students who reported the victimization, and that's an issue that we take very seriously. It's been a long process because we cannot step on the toes of the state's attorney or law enforcement when they're doing investigations. And we did send out a letter yesterday afternoon to the entire community, and then we posted that on our website. So we sent out the letter to the entire Damascus community, and we posted it on our website for everyone to be able to have access to. So that's there now, and it has information in it. One area that we want to talk about has been an ongoing theme and topic of discussion, certainly in my time in Montgomery County, and that is how do we reach all students and ensure their well-being to the greatest degree possible. Schools can do what they can do around well-being for students when we think about the physical, social, and psychological health of each student, and then their learning, because those two are completely connected as we think about what happens. And so on Friday, April 5th, we released the kind of third part of our evidence of learning system. And the first part was a way to look at our students' levels of learning, their progress, and to see that both in the aggregate, all students, and disaggregated by different student populations, by different services that we offer around special education, language acquisition, services we provide for students who live in poverty. The second part was the school improvement planning process. And then now this part, released on April 5th, is the Equity Accountability Model. And what it does is show the impact of a school with different student populations. And we show the student population in Montgomery County as the monitoring population that's doing quite well overall. And that population would be Asian and white students who are not in poverty, as well as Native American students, where we have a very, very small percentage, and students where we're at 4 or 5% of our students who report as being of 2 or more races. So those groups of students across Montgomery County in our schools overall are doing very well. When we look at the 5 focus groups, many students in each of those groups is doing well, and many students are doing well, but we see a disparity. And so when we think about our students, African American students and Black students who are in poverty or not in poverty, Hispanic Latino students who are in poverty or not in poverty, and our white, Asian, and students of multiple races and Native Americans who are in poverty, there is a disparity, a difference. And I want to invite Janet Wilson to come forward and just talk a little bit about what this set of dashboards provides for us as a community and a way to think about equity and how we help more and more students all the time reach those higher levels of learning and make sure that they are ready to learn and able to learn, and that they have great opportunities, because the potential, the talent is unlimited in our community across our students. It's absolutely unlimited, and we must unleash that potential. We absolutely have a social, an economic, and most importantly, I believe personally, a moral imperative to diminish and eliminate the disparities that exist for different student populations. And that is the most critical work, I think, that we are engaged in our school in our school buildings, our school system, and in this community right now around teaching and learning. So I'd like to invite Dr. Janet Wilson to come forward and share some more information about this process.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. First, I'd like to say that equity is the equal opportunities to succeed. And what's profoundly different about this work is that it's not a performance report. It is a report on how much impact our schools are having on all of the students attending each individual school. This work has helped us to realize that our tradition of aggregate reporting, meaning a large view of how a school is doing, doesn't quite give us the information that we need upon which we should act. Smaller groups of students within schools get lost in an overall performance story, and patterns correlating especially to socioeconomic status tend to get lost. For instance, one of the things that this work has taught us is that when we look at our African American students and our Hispanic students, and we look at their performance when it's not contextualized with poverty, meaning that they're not students in poverty, we see profoundly different performance for our students who are African American and Hispanic. In fact, the gap closes. Is it where we want it to be? No. But when we generalize these two groups and we don't look at it specifically for poverty, we see a completely different story. So I think our work is giving us a sharper lens, of a brighter flashlight, if you will, on where our students are in terms of their performance in each of our schools. I think the other area that we have learned is that we have schools that have very, very similar student populations, but yet we see a wide variance in performance in those schools. So it causes us to ask the question, what's happening in these schools that are getting profoundly different and improved performance outcomes when the school that's just down the street or across the county looks very similar, but we don't see the same results? So this equity accountability model begs us to ask questions about how we can better impact learning for all students based on what we see. We will be rolling out, right now the equity accountability model that you can see on our website is based on achievement. We have the same expectations for all students in all groups. We want 90% of our kids to achieve 2 out of 3 measures on our evidence of learning. At the April 29th board meeting, you will see system level data on our next 3 components. Those are, as Dr. Smith indicated, the students with disabilities, non-English speakers. How well are our schools serving those 2 populations? What is the impact we're having on those 2 populations? And we will also be looking at our graduation rates a little differently than MSDE looks at our graduation rates, because we have a high number of students who are non-English speakers who come to us while in high school, not only trying to earn a diploma, but also trying to learn English at the same time. So we want to look at our graduation rates through that lens. And then later on in the summer, you'll hear more about our culture and equity component of this work, and also school priority focus. And then in September, we'll be reporting a progress component, which is how much growth are our students making in our schools. They may not be meeting the target, but we do want to measure the impact of the growth towards the goal. So thank you very much for this opportunity to talk to you about our equity accountability model.
So when we talk about all means all, and we say that 90% is the target, what that means is if we could have every school having 90% or more of all students reaching that target, then it's our job to go and find the other 10%. That's what it amounts to. Right now, what we see are some pretty significant disparities across different student populations, and certainly race is a factor. It is, poverty is a factor. Sometimes the two intersect and they're both factors. But if we don't separate them, then we don't know what strategies to use and how we have to think differently. And certainly we're always going to use strategies around the way people develop expectations and think about the children they serve, like expectations, like access to the most rigorous programming, like really good ways of thinking about the care and well-being of our students, like we're going to launch this spring with the Wellness 360 effort, and that'll be first talked about at the May 14th board meeting. All of these things matter. It is not an either-or world. It's not this or that. It's that we bring everything together to meet the needs of every student, and that's the challenge, and it is a challenge that we absolutely must embrace and work toward. We do have a short video that we want to show about the Equity Accountability Model, and this will be available for anybody who wants to use it or post it anywhere, because we think this is critical work.
MCPS has developed an equity accountability model that provides detailed and focused assessment of school success and monitors and reports all students' performance on the evidence of learning. The district's accountability model goes beyond federal and state requirements to monitor and report performance for specific groups of students who have not experienced the same level of access, opportunity, or success as other students. The 5 focus groups are African American students who do not receive free and reduced price meals or FARMs, Hispanic students who do not receive FARMs, all other student groups who receive FARMs, African American students who receive FARMs, and Hispanic students who receive FARMs. The Equity Accountability Model, which is based on 6 major components, also allows MCPS to monitor and report progress on goals that are unique to the school district. The 6 components of the report are academic achievement, graduation rate, academic progress, English language proficiency, culture and equity, priority focus. And each component has a specific reporting timeline. As MCPS continues its efforts to highlight the impact a school has on its students, the accountability model will be essential for maintaining the community's trust in the school system. For more information about the MCPS Equity Accountability Model, visit the Evidence of Learning Framework website.
Very important work, and certainly work that we want to call attention to and that will never be done. Because when we reach equity across all student populations, then the goal will be to maintain that equity. And as Dr. Wilson said, there's been some positive movement, but there's still a lot of work to do. I'd like to shift now and talk about a really great partnership and donation here in the system. Last year, the Washington Capitals connected with MCPS in hopes of using a grant opportunity to provide all of our elementary and middle school students with an opportunity to gain exposure to the sport of hockey. The goal was to expand street hockey instructional opportunities, ensuring that every school have the instructional materials, age-appropriate hockey pucks, balls, sticks, and pop-up goals needed to teach street hockey aligned with the MCPS standards-based physical education curriculum. It is important to note that we're working hard to get students moving more in school. We think we have a pilot next year around more recess, and we think it's incredibly important, and partnerships like this help us do this, and making sure that students have access both to the learning and to the actual movement and physical fitness and play and excitement they can have. Cara Grant's the supervisor of pre-K-12 health and physical education, and she's going to share with you about the donation and this partnership, and then providing more information. And following her is a good friend of the school system, Peter Robinson. He's the Director of Community Relations for the Washington Capitals. So I really want to welcome and express very sincere appreciation and thanks to both of you for the work on this effort.
Thank you so much. I am really thrilled and honored to be here. It's not often that we really get time to highlight and work with the Washington Capitals. That's like a once-in-a-career moment for myself and the school district, I believe. And I really want to thank them for everything that they're doing, their donation, because it really supports, the partnership further supports the goals that we have with serving the whole child. The Wellness 360 is going to be highlighted in the May board meeting, but it also links with the physical, social, and psychological well-being of all students. And we don't want to limit the fact that all students don't have the same exact equipment, and the Capitals, with this donation of wonderful equipment that you can see here, will provide them not only with great equipment, but beautiful branding, and it will get kids really excited about hockey. Some students come, they have very little experience or understanding of the sport of hockey, so giving them an opportunity to hold on to something that maybe will be their physical activity for a lifetime. Maybe hockey will then be what they do on the playground after school, and then maybe what they'll do as an adult. So joining us today to provide more information on this new initiative is Peter Robinson, the Director of Community Relations for the Washington Capitals.
Good morning. Thank you, Cara. Thank you, Dr. Smith, for having me. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be here today to represent the Washington Capitals and announce this partnership with Montgomery County Public Schools. You know, back in 2013, the NHL and the NHL Players Association established what is known as the Industry Growth Fund. And out of this fund, every team in the league was able to apply for grants to be able to promote and grow the sport of hockey across North America. The Capitals were fortunate enough to receive a couple of those grants. And through those grants, we have started creating partnerships with local school systems to expand access to the sport of hockey and provide equipment, curriculum, and training for the teachers. In 2014, our first partnership was with DC Public Schools. We donated street hockey equipment to every public school in the city, reaching over 48,000 students. At the beginning of this season, at the beginning of the school year, we partnered with Baltimore City Public Schools, and we donated equipment to every single public school in the city, reaching just over 75,000 students. And it is with great pleasure today that I announce a partnership with Montgomery County Public School System for our largest partnership to date, which will be reaching just over 110,000 students. So with this partnership, every elementary and middle school in the county will be receiving a full branded set of Capital street hockey equipment. As you can see here, there's a little bit of a sample, but every set will include 30 to 40 street hockey sticks that are age appropriate for 1st through 8th grade. They will also receive 30 balls, 10 pucks, 2 of the pop-up nets that you see here, and then most importantly, our customized curriculum that we worked with Cara and her team on to make sure that it hit all the standards required for MCPS students. So along with the equipment, we'll be donating the curriculum and also some training for all of the teachers and the staff so that they are fully understanding of how to play and teach the rules and the skills in the sport of hockey. And then we will also be providing them a resource from here on out with our community hockey staff. So every single physical education teacher in the county will have direct access to our community hockey staff to use as a resource at any time if they feel the need to have us come out to the school or have a refresher or need any further instruction to be able to continue to provide street hockey as an opportunity for the students in their school. The goal of this program has always been to provide access to the sport of hockey to as many students as possible. And the goal there is not just to promote the sport of hockey and grow our fan base and you know, make people aware of our brand, but it's really to provide life skills like teamwork, sportsmanship, leadership, and other skills that these students will be able to use as they navigate the world and grow up. And so that's kind of the important aspect of this program. It's not just about growing the game of hockey. It's also providing an opportunity for students to try another physical activity that they may not have known that they had access to or they may have liked. You were talking earlier about the importance of physical, physical activity in a student's education, and this is something that we're really passionate about because not every student has ever thought that they could play hockey or have had access to the sport, and so we're hoping that we can break down that barrier and allow kids the access to the equipment and to the sport and see maybe if it is something that they fall in love with and maybe they want to continue to participate in for years to come. Today is a little bit of a personal, this is a personal donation for me. I grew up in Montgomery County. I skated at the local rinks, Cabin John, Rockville, Wheaton, Chevy Chase. I'm a proud graduate of Sherwood High School. So it's a pretty special one. So I'm really excited to be here. And, you know, we're really, really happy that the students in Montgomery County will have access to this sport and will be able to play hockey for years to come. And, you know, it's a wonderful, wonderful sport that has taught me a lot about life, and it's provided me a lot of opportunities. And we're just hoping that, you know, those same opportunities are going to be provided to students in Montgomery County for years to come. So thank you very much. We're very honored to be here.
So this probably breaks every rule of the communication team, but I'm going to ask this. Peter, could you just describe, or you and Kara describe what this would look like on a playground in a gym for children? Because I have to confess, I grew up in eastern Washington State, and I don't really know what street hockey is exactly. I've seen the Capitals play and on ice, but what does it look like, if you don't mind just describing what this looks like for those few people out there like me who may not really understand what's going to happen?
Absolutely. No, I think it's a fair question, and that's part of the purpose of this program. Is not everybody is fully aware of the opportunities to play hockey outside of an ice rink. Most people hear the word hockey and they go, I don't have access to an ice rink. I don't have ice skates. I don't know how to ice skate, so I guess this sport is not for me and I can't play it. And it couldn't be farther from the truth. So the equipment that you see here, these are plastic blades that are designed to be used in a gym floor or cafeteria, or also out on the blacktop or in the parking lot. So they're safe for kids to be able to use on all surfaces. And so the idea here is to introduce them by showing them how to use the stick properly, holding it the proper way so that they have their hands in the proper position, stick handling, passing, and shooting. So it's really just about basic skills of being able to hold and use the equipment on a regular basis. And then as you progress through the curriculum, it'll teach about spatial awareness and you know, teamwork and how to set up in the proper positioning and to eventually be playing games. So on a blacktop, for example, outside, you could have a game where you'll have 2 nets, 5 kids on each side, so 5 kids on a team, and they're just working on you know, stick handling, passing, and shooting, and playing the game, trying to score, trying to have a lot of fun. But what they're also working on at that same time is it's the hand-eye coordination aspect. So a lot of you know, striking with an instrument is usually a common standard for a lot of different PE curriculums. So this can take that place. Instead of having to use a tennis racket or a baseball bat or a golf ball or a golf club to hit a ball, you can now use the street hockey stick, but it's something that's not as individual. It's a little bit more of a team-oriented sport. And most of the sports that you see that include striking something with an object are very individual. Hitting a baseball, kind of very individual. Hitting a golf ball, very individual. And even when you're playing tennis, if you're playing with a partner, a lot of time practicing, you're going off back and forth against a wall. So this is something where you'll be able to learn to use that skill and learn that hand-eye coordination, but do it with teammates and do it with other students. So you're learning that sportsmanship and teamwork component along with the physical activity as well.
Am I gonna add on?
Yeah.
Yep, and just to add on with the physical education content and standards, we have games that are common where you're attacking space to score. And so the goal is that when we're building student physical literacy, we're building their conceptual understanding of, okay, so basketball, field hockey, street hockey, lacrosse, soccer, I do the same thing to try to score. I attack the goal to score. So getting kids comfortable and developing their comfort level with all physical activity, this is just another one that we use. And being able to attack space to score, to work together, the teamwork, the collaboration that really aligns with the Wellness 360, that we're trying to make sure the physical, social, and psychological well-being with kids working together, feeling comfortable with self, feeling comfortable working with others. When you don't understand and you're trying to problem solve, this is the tools that we use in physical education to help kids get to those concepts, those lifelong concepts that will actually help them be successful in collaboration in work, in life, and even just after school, with bridging lots of different cultural differences, like language differences. Language differences are eliminated in physical education because you pick up equipment and you play, you visually can see it, and it's just the smile that you'll see on kids' face when they're physically active. It is the reason why we're doing what we're doing today. So thank you.
Excellent. And then to make this partnership official, we figured that you would need to have some capital spirit throughout the playoffs. We are in the middle of the playoffs. Game 3 against Carolinas tonight. We are defending our title as Stanley Cup champions. So I wanted to present you as a thank you from the Washington Capitals with this jersey.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Absolutely.
Really appreciate it very, very much. Thank you.
Looks
And
pretty good. Since you're in charge, we threw the captaincy on there.
A lot of responsibility. Probably a lot more people are worried about this captain than about this. No, excellent. I really appreciate the very clear explanation, and I loved your final comments about how this all fits together, Carl. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
So we want to do a photo with the... Yeah. Come on over. We'll do a quick photo with the... I don't know if anybody has a...
We know what the red means, so it's okay. So 1, 2, 3, smile. 1, 2, 3. One more. Thank you. So we're going to finish up here for a few minutes before we take questions and talk about celebrating students and staff accomplishments. And there is literally so much to celebrate in this system because of its size and because of the opportunities that it has created for so many decades, for so many students and staff members across the system. So this year's Champion for Children event will take place on Thursday, April 25th at the Black Rock Center for the Arts from 5:30 to 8:30. Champions for Children is the most prestigious educator recognition event in Montgomery County. Parents, teachers, industry leaders, and community members lend their presence to the celebration of MCPS's amazing teachers, support staff, and volunteers and administrators. And each honoree is recognized for exemplary work in pursuit of MCPS core values to prepare all students to thrive in their futures. Awards are given to the MCPS Rising Star Teacher of the Year. Those are our new teachers. The Dr. Edward Shirley Award for Excellence in Educational Administration and Supervision. The Supporting Services Employee of the Year, the Partner Champion for Children of the Year, and the Volunteer Champion for Children of the Year. The evening culminates in the announcement of the MCPS Teacher of the Year, who represents Montgomery County Public Schools at the Maryland Teacher of the Year competition each fall when all school systems in Maryland send a teacher candidate forward, and one of them is chosen to represent Maryland at the National Teacher of the Year effort. This is one set of recognitions and awards. Every single board meeting, I have multiple different kinds of student awards, academic competitions, sports competitions, every kind of arts competitions, every kind of different kind of recognition and award that you can think of that we announce. And so I don't want to in any way identify that this is all that happens, and at the same time, this is very important as it happens in the coming week, and we recognize all of these people. But year-round, literally year-round, we have students, we have volunteers, we have staff members across the system. And the other group of people I would like to recognize right now are all of the unsung heroes, all of the staff members, the employees, the volunteers, the leaders, everyone in this system. They serve hundreds and hundreds of thousands of meals a day. They provide 206 clean, ready to operate, run schools every day. They do all sorts of work with children around their emotional well-being, but also around their physical and social well-being, as well as their opportunity to learn to read at or above grade level, their opportunity to do math and understand mathematics so they can pursue lots of the careers that are math-based, their opportunity to go into living wage jobs after career programs. So many things happen that it's critically important that I reference it all as we think about honoring our staff and all that happens in this school system on behalf of our students, with our students, and all that is done by our students to excel. And we really are very fortunate. I've said it before, and I will say it again. And I've had people challenge this when I say it, and I'm going to say it anyway, and I'm going to push back because you don't know. You can say this, but I will tell you, I've been in every school in this system, most of them more than once, some of them many times, like this school I've been in 2 or 3 times. I would send any of one of my 6 precious, wonderful grandchildren to any school in this system. And if you say, no, he wouldn't send his child to this school, that's your bias showing right there, and I'll just point it out, because I would send my grandchildren to any school in this system, and I'd be thrilled to do it. And I've seen a lot of schools as I traveled all over the state of Maryland for 3 years visiting school systems, and worked in Washington State and worked in Asia for 7 years. So just want to really push back on that idea. Every student, every school, great opportunities. Coming up in the next few weeks, we have 6 sessions set for the following dates for the Equity Accountability Model. Wednesday, April 24th at Paint Branch High School. Monday, May 13th at Rockville are the next 2. Some have already occurred. More will be scheduled. They all offer the same presentation, and we ask that people RSVP so we can plan accordingly with all of the materials and everything. We also have registration for the 6th Annual Special Education Summit coming up on Saturday, April 27th at Quince Orchard High School. This will be the 3rd one of these events I visited. They are great events. Not only are they filled with lots of information about how to support students, but also they're inspiring and touching at what people do together on behalf of students, and then how much students accomplish. They accomplish so much in life when we give them the opportunity and access. The summit will feature a keynote presentation by Dr. Lisa Diker, the Pegasus Professor and Lockheed Martin Eminent Scholar Chair at the University of Central Florida. All of the attendees will have information from community partners and countywide agencies. It's a free event sponsored by the MCPS Office of Special Education Parent Outreach Committee, Special Education Advisory Committee called SEAC, and the Office of Community Engagement and Partnerships. So if you want more information about this very good activity on April 27th, then you can call the Special Education Office. You can check our website, and we're also tweeting it out and putting it out through all the social media. The 2nd Latino Community Forum will be held on Tuesday, April 30th at Forest Oak Middle School. We did one back at the very end of November at Gaithersburg Middle School. This one will be from 5:30 to 8:30. It's coordinated by the Latino Student Achievement Action Group, LSAG, and the Montgomery County Public School Equity Unit. It's a community forum for people to come together and hear about educational issues, talk to one another, deepen connections among the different communities in MCPS, and provide support to Latino parents and students and their school communities. During this forum, parents will share their perspectives and experiences and what works well and what they still need support for. There are so many things going on that I will stop there as I talk about them, and then we can move on to an opportunity for questions. Okay, thank you.
Immediately following this press briefing, the Capitals are hosting an assembly for all 4th graders here at College Gardens in the gymnasium. So you all are welcome to stick around and check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun, Peter promised. So, all right. So we'll now take questions. Any questions for Dr. Smith or any of our guests this morning? Caitlin?
So first, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Caitlin?
Thank you. When will all of the schools have their equipment and start to use them? Is that happening already? Or?
I'm going to turn that question over to Peter and Cara. Peter?
So all of the equipment has been manufactured and ordered. We're working with Cara and her staff right now to finalize all of the contact staff at each location and the correct address, and it'll be shipped directly from Franklin Sports, which is where we order it, and every school should have it by the end of April. Yeah.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, I'll thank you very much for being here today.